In 1991, Midway released Terminator 2 for the arcades. T2 was a light gun shooter that used digitized actors, so the sprites had this realistic look to them. When I first played this as a little kid, we never made it past the first stage. 1 or 2 quarters was about all we do, and that was it. Not that it mattered, because the game is notoriously difficult.
How am I supposed to do this?
If the truck explodes, you gotta start all over, and on home consoles, you only had a limited numbers of continues, so good luck. Speaking of home consoles, you'd be surprised just how many they managed to squeeze this game onto. I managed to get my hands on a couple, so I figured it'd be fun to compare them. Starting with the Super Nintendo. Visually, the SNES and arcade look impressively similar. In an era where buying the home console version came with a significant decrease in visual quality, Super Nintendo really shines here. Audio-wise, SNES may not sound as good as the arcade, but it gets the job done. In terms of controls, you get 3. Your standard control pad to move a cursor and fire. T2 was compatible with the Super Scope, which allowed you to replicate the arcade experience at home. Unfortunately, I couldn't get mine to work, and not that it matters, because I've heard that these things don't work as accurately on modern TVs. And on top of that, the colors on the screen will change when using the Super Scope, so I kind of prefer the dark background. My favorite option is the mouse. It improves the accuracy and speed of the cursor compared to the D-pad and doesn't require any additional setups and batteries like with the Super Scope. It's just too bad I'm not getting past that 3rd stage. Next up, T2 on Sega Genesis, a console I've come to respect more and more as I've realized that many games are actually superior compared to the Super Nintendo versions. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said about T2. The presentation on Sega took quite a hit in the conversion process. Gone is the dark skies and instead replaced with this red background. Seemingly everything has taken a hit, from the opening font to the sprites. Even the music has to be redone, though fortunately the original compositions are not that bad. As for gameplay, it's more or less the same. You move the cursor around, shoot the robots, some minor differences, but it essentially comes down to preference, as neither game is particularly great. At their core, they're both essentially a Terminator version of a carnival shooting gallery. Besides, I couldn't even get far enough before my Sega crapped out.
Why do all my 30-year-old electronics keep breaking on me?
T2 was a novelty designed to show off fancy graphics and distract you for a second. It was designed to suck quarters. Don't just take my word for it, listen to the developers.
That was like one of the most egregious quarter-second games.
Literally, people were lasting like 18 seconds. Go tell them they just lost their money.
It was all for the money. That mentality is what led to ports I genuinely didn't think were possible, yet here we are. T2, the arcade game for the Game Gear. Oh, they said it couldn't be done. For the sake of this video, I wanted to experience the games as authentically as possible. On an emulator, it looks just fine, and my recording makes the video look a lot worse than it does on original hardware, but even in real life, it's not much better. I can never get the brightness and contrast just right. The Game Gear already didn't have a great screen and had ghosting, creating an incoherent, blurry mess at times, especially with so much going on screen. This one might have been a little too ambitious, but it can't get worse from here, right? T2, the arcade game on Game Boy.
Are you nuts? The thing fits in there perfectly. Look.
Oh yeah, it's bad. At a quick glance, you'd think it's just a colorless version of the Game Gear, but no, it's so much worse. Like the Game Gear, the Game Boy didn't have the best screen, so playing on an emulator improves the experience considerably. But that's where the similarities more or less end. On Game Gear, you had music. On Game Boy, With a colored screen, even with the less than ideal screen quality, the Game Gear is playable. I can see the robots against the dark background, which is another plus for the Game Gear. They actually got it to look like the arcade game, something that even the Genesis didn't do. On Game Boy, I can't see the enemies unless I have perfect lighting, but even under those conditions, the blurry monochrome palette blends it all together. It's an exciting game to look at, so it made sense that they wanted to shove it on as many platforms as possible. Even looking at the cartridges gets me excited to play, even though I know what lies on the other end isn't very good. Overall, I didn't make it past the first stage on either Game Gear or Game Boy because, quite frankly, none of these versions are very fun to play. I'd much rather just play the Super Nintendo version. And even then, it's fun for a bit and then just turn it off and put it away. So why did I spend so much time and money on these ports? What's the big deal? The truth is, T2 the arcade game holds a special place in my heart. I got a lot of memories of this game, and that's a common talking point when reminiscing about our childhood. Oh, this game reminds me of my dad, or my mom and I used to check out this pizza place that had this game or that game. T2 was at a restaurant that my dad used to take me and my brothers to, but to change up the formula, I'll let him do the talking.
De ese lugar me acuerdo que veníamos a comer hamburguesas y descubrimos que había un juego, el pollo les llamó las calacas, Skulls. Esta era una franquicia que se llamaba Bullweevil y pasábamos como familia buen tiempo, pero el juego principal eran las calacas, le gustaba. Era un juego, o sea, y me acuerdo de eso que empezamos a venir aquí más bien por pollo, de que disfrutaba su tiempo jugando las calacas. No tanto era el nombre del video game, pero es más, no sé ni cómo se llama el video game. Lo conozco yo como las calacas. Sí venía a jugar aquí a las famosas calacas. Para mí no, o sea, nunca me han gustado los juegos. Para mí lo interesante es que el pollo tenía miedo al Home Alone.
Guess who's alone in New York this Christmas?
Pero no tenía miedo a las calacas. Salen así en el video y si pierdes, pues sale una calaca. Pero para él no tenía miedo. Y se me hacía curioso de que una película se le hiciera de mucho miedo, más sin embargo el juego ese le gustaba. Me da nostalgia de que pues aquí pasé mucho tiempo con ellos.
Me acuerdo que se veía más grande aquí. Y ahorita viendo por la ventana.
Sí, se ve más corto.
Yeah. Ahí es donde estaría.
Video games. Yeah. Es curioso que un lugar así me traiga memorias, muy bonitos recuerdos. Eventualmente el edificio pues cerraron, no les resultó el negocio, lo que sea. Pero aquí pasé con mis hijos buenas memorias.